Okay. Hello and welcome again to that WNBA podcast, where we dive deep into the world of the WNBA. Join me as we celebrate the incredible athletes, thrilling games, inspiring stories that make women's basketball so special. Whether you're a long-time fan or a new viewer or new to the sport, I've got you covered with game analysis, player interviews, and all the latest news from around the league. So get ready to be inspired, and let's tip off. So, welcome again to that WNBA podcast with yours truly. I can't believe we're already on to episode 5. Today we're going to talk about all things Olympics and sneakers, other news. Lots of exciting things happened in the last week, even though the WNBA is currently on its Olympic break. You can see I'm repping the Olympics. I'm repping the Matildas. This is from Alana Kennedy, one of our treasured Matildas here in Australia playing for the women's soccer. This is part of her new brand, the Kennedy shop, and it's unbelievable. It's so comfortable. It came in the mail today, and really proud to be repping the Matildas. So get on board women's sports, get on board the Olympics. It's been fantastic so far. Doesn't matter what country you support, where you're from. I've got my 2 homegrowns. I've got Germany. I've got Australia. Plenty of medals to celebrate, plenty of talent, plenty of women to celebrate and to cheer on at these Olympics in Paris at the moment. So, look, let's get into it with no further ado. We've got a lot to talk about over the last week. First of all things Olympics. How good has it been so far? The opening ceremony, look, might have been a little up and down. I don't know what you guys thought of it. Please, comment, get involved. Let me know what you think. Bit here and all there, I think. Interesting. Not the best weather, as we know. Europe, even in summer, can kind of have a mind of its own. So basically, from there on, we've got into the basketball at the Olympics. The women's basketball has kicked off. The men's basketball, I know a lot of you will be interested in the US. I'd like to talk about Germany, talk about Australia as well, and both the women's and the men's, but obviously particularly we're here for the women's sports. We've had great scenes when it comes to the gymnastics. Obviously Simone Biles, what a legend up there as per usual. We've got the swimming for Australia, where Australia always do really well. That's why we're high up on those medal tallies. And can I just start off? I don't want to have a go at the Americans here. And if you're from the US, obviously covering the WNBA, I love US sports. I love America in general. Look, not to pile on, I think this is something very American. And look, let me know if you agree or not. I don't want to annoy anyone here, and I don't think this is not me trying to get a rile anyone up. But the Olympic medal tallies that you guys show in the US are a bit strange to the rest of the world. When you look at your newspapers and stuff, the way you're kind of framing it to be on top of the medal tally at the moment. Interesting choice. I know it always happens. I know that's the way you guys do things. You're twisting the truth a little bit there. But the USA is definitely not on top of the official Olympic tally. And if you didn't know, the Olympic tally is ordered by gold medals. Only in the event of a tie do we go to silvers and bronze. And although, yes, the US has the most medals in total, that's not the way that the tally works. You're obviously one of the biggest countries in the world, so you've sent one of the largest contingents, which probably means you're going to get the most medals. But it is based off gold medals. And in that tally at the moment, Australia's right up there. I think at the moment we're one gold medal off the lead. We're doing really well. We always do. We send one of the largest contingents. So if you're from the US, you might not know Australia sent about 460 athletes when our population's only around 24 million people. And look, we've always been good at sport. We enjoy sport. I know some of you might not know about AFL or Australian football. which has kind of been in the news here a little bit recently because Katy Perry is performing at that halftime show, and that's kind of surprised a lot of Americans. I think it surprised America too with Taylor Swift when you had a look at our big stadium at the MCG where we fit 100,000 people in on grand final day, and you thought, where are the car parks? Well, we all travel with sustainable train lines, trams, walk. There's a big Olympic park from the Olympics some time ago. And we don't want a million cars parked outside our stadiums, which are quite close to our cities here usually, and we have quite big stadiums, so that would make it quite hard. So Katy Perry performing here with 100,000 people audience, not that strange. I saw a lot of people from America kind of wondering what the sport is. That sounds made up. No, it is our own version of football. It was invented to kind of keep cricketers fit during the off season a long, long time ago. It's our number one sport here, and I recommend you go watch it. I think you'd enjoy it a lot. I think you'd probably enjoy it more than your own American football. It's really tough. We don't wear protection. It's fast paced. I think you'd all really enjoy it if you gave it a go. And yeah, I'm just going on a bit of a tangent there, but I just kind of want to let you guys know that it's a great sport. Give it a go. Check it out. I'm sure there's plenty of YouTube highlights, and I think you might actually enjoy it. But taking that aside, the Olympic tally, I know your news kind of spins it a certain way, but you aren't on top. And that's not a knock against you guys. I'm sure you will end up on top of the medal tally because, US athletes are just amazing. But Australia started off well with the swimming being up first. Germany also doing okay. We've got a few medals here or there. And I'm going to get into some of the specific sports in a second, especially around the women. And to start off, look, let's start with the basketball. So if I just look over to my screen here, it started out really strong. The US women have started out really strong, as we know. Look, I don't think it was much of a surprise, but the Olympic basketball, when it comes to the women, was always going to be up there. You guys have won the most medals. For any Americans listening, you've been on top of those women's basketball rankings for a long time, and you came out and, you absolutely smashed it. So if we look at your first game against Japan, you won by 26 points. It wasn't particularly close. And you didn't shoot the ball really well from three. I think Japan hit, correct me if I'm wrong, but a ton more threes, at least 10 more threes than you did. And you still smashed them by 20 odd points. So really impressive. Look, I think that was always going to be the case. If you look at the team statistics for that game, you shot a lot better from two, but from 3-point range, you shot 4 of 20. Japan shot 15 of 39, and you guys still won in a blowout. Germany, though, I want to point out, before this tournament started, I told you guys, if you're a betting person, if you want to pick an underdog, pick Germany. It's the first time for Germany at the Olympics. Okay, they're ranked somewhere down below 20th in the world standings. Satu is back from my favorite Dallas Wings. They came out in their first game and they beat Belgium, who were the European champions and 6th in the world, by 14 points in their opening game. So I think Germany are going to get through quite comfortably. It's a tough group. I know that the US and Japan are in that group, but I think Germany are going to get through. I think they're going to give the US a bit of a run for their money. And look, I like them as underdogs. I really do. They shot well from the three. They shot well from the 2-point line. And Satu still looks a bit rusty, but she hit 3 of her 7 threes. She had 17 points and played quite well overall. Also, Naira Sabali also played really well, but she went out, I think, with a, not sure if she's got concussion, but it looked like a bit of a head knock. She looked quite ginger coming off and then being taken to the rooms. So I don't know what that means. I think she'll probably miss the next game at least from my limited knowledge. But there's also a couple other players, at least 3 other players apart from the 2 Sabali sisters who were in double figures, and really great game overall. In that group, Japan and the United States played that first game. For Germany, next up tomorrow, Australian time, 5 in the afternoon, you've got Germany versus Japan. And then I think the United States play United States play Belgium on the 2nd of August over here in Australian time. So that'll be late 1st of August over in the States. Australia, bit of an upset in the first game. So they were probably the second favorite coming into the tournament behind the States. They're always a really strong team, the Opals. They've still got Lauren Jackson, absolute legend, a legend of the WNBA as well. They surprisingly lost their first game against Nigeria by 13 points. Bit of an upset. Safe to say they didn't play their best. I think they'll still get through. They've got Canada up next, I believe, and they've also got France in that group, so they should advance. I'm still backing them to advance. But they didn't shoot particularly well from 2 or from 3, really. It was okay. Their free throws really let them down. They shot 8 from 18. Quite a few players didn't particularly shoot well from the free throw line. I don't know if anyone. There were 3 players in double figures, but yeah, no one shot very well. The high scorer was Alana Smith with 15. I just don't think that's going to be enough at these Olympics. So. Yeah, look, interesting start to the women's draw. Definitely going to be intriguing to see what happens from here on out. I know Spain currently is playing Puerto Rico. They've got quite a big lead at the moment, 9-point lead, just in the first quarter, I think. China and Serbia also playing later on tonight here in Australia. So, yeah, an interesting start. We'll see where it goes from here. I'm still backing the USA and Germany to kind of be the 2. USA, Australia to kind of be the 2 favorites. I think my underdog is still Germany at this stage. I'm backing them all to advance, and yeah, we'll see who gets the medal. Like to see what happens with the US as well. They played really well in the first game, and yeah, see who kind of goes from here. I do want to kind of quickly talk about that US-Japan game a little bit more as well, and just highlight who played well in that game, because obviously the US is absolutely packed full of superstars. Something that you can't say about many of the teams at these Olympics. A lot of them have 1 or 2 great players that play in the WNBA. Obviously, there's more players now from the WNBA or the NBA in these Olympics than ever before, which is incredible. But for the US in the first game, I think it was quite an even spread. So AJ Wilson, who's going to be, obviously 100% the WNBA MVP this season, didn't kind of let off from that and got 24 points, shot 10 of 15 from 2-point range. Quite incredible. Brianna Stewart also with 22 points, and then you had a few more people in the teens, in the double figures. So Sabrina played really well, obviously not a surprise. Shot 3 of 7 from 3. You had Kelsey Plum also with 11, and Brittany Griner with 11 points as well. So no big surprises there, but just to point out that those guys obviously played really well, pretty even spread, but those stars definitely stand out, even though that team is so packed full of superstars. Talking about the men's side, I don't want to spend as much time on that, because obviously we are a WNBA podcast here, and trying to talk about and empower women's sport. But in terms of the men, obviously the USA men won their first game pretty convincingly. The Boomers, in terms of Australia, also won their first game, lost their second, but they're looking quite good as well. Second game was against Canada, so definitely more challenging. Canada are a very good team with Shea, with Dwight Powell from my Dallas Mavericks, but they are quite a good team. So that was kind of, I think, for me, going to go either way. Canada took out that win. Germany's been playing really well. They've been really good at doing really well, the men's team. So, they are obviously the current world champions. So I look forward to seeing where it goes from here. I think the good teams so far have started off well, both in the men's and the women's, the teams that I expected to. So I'm looking forward to see where we go from here and what the medal games are going to be, and if anyone can give the US teams a run for their money. Now, I think that's a pretty good start when it comes to the Olympic regular women's and men's basketball. Also want to quickly mention the 3x3 basketball, which I haven't kept a lot of track of. Obviously, we know that Cameron Brink, due to injury, is not playing for the US. But the US actually got kind of upset by Germany, going down 17-3 in their first round of pool play. Definitely an upset. I'm not too across that German team with a 3x3. That's not it's a bit outside of my expertise, so I won't say I know too much about how 3-on-3 is played. I obviously watched the game during the All-Star weekend, but I haven't really watched a lot. Looks really exciting, really fast-paced, so I'd really like to get into that a little bit more, but I'm no expert there. All I know is that Germany won, bit of an upset, and I kind of leave it at that for now until I know more about the game. I don't want to kind of come on here and just talk nonsense. That's not what I'm here to do, and you guys will know if I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'll leave that for now. I'll try and watch a few games if I can with our coverage here in Australia. Try and learn a little bit more about the game and how that's played specifically, and what kind of pros and cons there are, and kind of what you need to be successful in that type of basketball. Moving on from the Olympics, obviously we've got some other disciplines, a lot of swimming at the moment. I mentioned Simone Biles in the athletics, the Matildas. In the soccer, lost their first game to Germany 3-0. I thought they'd play a lot better. I thought it'd be a lot closer. I couldn't lose in that situation, obviously. Second game, the Matildas won 6-5 against Zambia after being down 5-2. These are not the Matildas that I've watched in the past. To say that was a shock, very exciting game, but to say that was a shock is an understatement. I expected the Matildas to run away with that game, take a bit of a goal advantage back from that first opening loss. They played very poorly, especially defensively, which has been a little bit of their kind of kryptonite for a while. The defense is not really their strong suit, but in the past they've kind of sat back. They've been happy for the other team to have the ball all the time and play on the counter, especially when Sam Kerr was their striker, obviously missing through ACL injury. But even in the games after the World Cup, kind of some of the qualifying games, some of the friendlies that I watched and I watched live in Australia, they still looked really good. They didn't maybe play the best opposition. I don't know, maybe they spend too much time on their warm-ups in Spain, maybe too much relaxing on the beach. I'm not sure, but they just don't look as compact. That fighting spirit was really evident to come back from 5-2 down and to win. But you really need to show up against the US, because if Canada win, you could be out of the tournament in the group stage, and that's not what they expected. They expect to win a medal this time around after that strong World Cup showing, and that hasn't really happened yet. I don't know what the problem is. I think they've conceded a lot from set pieces. They just look a little off. I don't know if their connection, if it's a little bit of a World Cup hangover. they're not playing in front of those strong home crowds. There was only 130 tickets sold to the Zambia game, which is quite disappointing because the Matildas have sold out. I think it's 15 or 16 games in a row here in Australia with huge crowds. I know obviously that's not going to be the same when you go to an Olympic Games, but kind of disappointing that not more people showed up to watch incredible women's soccer, which has just been on the rise. It's one of my favorite things to watch. Alana here obviously got a beautiful header. She's the first Matilda to score at 3 separate Olympics. Really proud of her performance, and I think in general their defensive structure, the back four is quite solid. You've got Claire Hunt, you've got Alana, you've got Ellie on the right wing, who plays for one of the best teams in the world in Lyon. You've got Steph Catley on the back left playing for Arsenal, who's our captain, our leader, playing phenomenal. So I don't know where the kind of gaps are coming from. Maybe through the midfield. Katrina Gorry has played fine. She's coming off an injury, maybe just a little step or two slow, but even she is probably one of the highlights so far, playing really tough. You know, she's always one of the smaller players on the pitch. I don't know. Maybe it's the choice of attacking line. I think Michelle Heyman should have probably started in these games. I think she's our best out-and-out striker, and I think you need someone. I think you need Mary Fowler on the left, where she plays her best. I think you need to have someone like Sam Kerr out front that you can target. Even though you like to play a lot on the counter, I think you need somebody there to kind of bring the attention of those defenders to exploit the rest of the gaps. But I think mainly defensively, our getting back, our positioning just hasn't been right. So something to think of there. Germany, obviously my other home country, played really well in that opening game. Lost to the US 3-0, a bit of a surprise. Sorry, 3-1, bit of a surprise that they went down by that much. Even though the US now under Emma Haynes looking very strong again. Look, I don't know what's going to happen with the US tomorrow. I hope the Australians put in a bit more of a fight. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. In terms of other news with the Olympics, I've seen some handball. I've watched the basketball, some of the individual events like the skating, a few other things here and there. But it's so late here that I can't watch everything. So those have been my main focuses. The team sports, the sports that I'm really invested in, and a lot of the women's sports. So hopefully that's a bit of a rundown. Maybe you heard about a couple of things that you maybe haven't watched as much. Maybe that's not as much of a focus for you if you're really into the WNBA and maybe not into some of the other sports like soccer, like I am. So drop comments down below. Let me know what sports you enjoy watching at the Olympics. And I'm happy to get to know other sports that maybe I don't watch as much. So I'd love to talk to you all about that sort of stuff. But I think that's enough about the Olympics now. We've talked for roughly 20 minutes. So the last 10 minutes, I want to talk about some other news, some really important sneaker news that I want to get into. First of all, and we need to go back to this. I know I'm going to be banging on about this particular player in most episodes, but we're back onto Caitlin Clark. She's back in fever practice, and the most important thing I think that I got out of all of this is that she enjoyed her vacation, a lot of fun, but she's wearing her first PE in practice, which is a Kobe 5 Protro. Sadly, the public doesn't really get many Kobe 5 Protros at the moment, or seem not to be, which is a shame. I feel like with these Protros, if you're about bringing out that Kobe product and really getting fans of Kobe to buy that product again, to enjoy that product, I think you could make more of a particular pair and release more of them to the general public rather than just have people that can, afford a 250 Australian dollar shoe, or people buying them to resell and make a ton of money, which I think is a little bit disappointing. I've entered a ton of raffles. I'm still waiting to win my pair. I'm going to try again for the Protro gold medal pairs. But yeah, it's a little disappointing. but she has got her own PE, which is really exciting. I think it looks great. It's really nice shoe. I mean, the Kobe 5 Pro Tros, I think most people love. It's got a black outline around the heel and the bottom of the shoe. They're predominantly yellow, so I think she mentioned that it's kind of Iowa, but also a bit of the fever in there. So you can pick and choose what you want to take out of that. It looks similar to the Bruce Lee's, which she wears a lot, but still different. It's got a gold swoosh. Overall, really lovely looking shoe. I think really exciting for her to have her first PE. We know she's going to get that signature shoe with Nike, but that usually takes quite a while, especially for that first shoe. Maybe a year or two to design, but eventually those will be coming. I'm really excited for those. Those are going to be, well, I expect them to be maybe just like Sabrina's, kind of probably based off of Kobe and that kind of silhouette. I expect them to be amazing, to be fire. I expect them to be really hot when they come on the market. I'm definitely going to try and get my pair. The other pair I'm looking at the moment is the Sabrina United Red Sabrina 2s, which are coming. I think they're going to be a little bit more available than the Kobe's. They're obviously based on the United States colors in the Olympics, and they just look incredible. So I'm hoping to pick up one of those, and yeah, it's just going to be really exciting. Moving on from that to more Caitlin Clark. She did an interview, and she talked about wanting to play golf with her teammates, and yeah, kind of talked about a couple of things from her vacation, and hoping that hopefully she can play some golf with some of her WNBA teammates and Olympic golf players, things like that. So go watch that interview if you're interested. Also on Caitlin Clark, we saw a fan of Japan holding a sign up at the first game saying, "You need Caitlin Clark to beat us." There was quite a blunt response from Brittney Griner and some of the other teammates that noticed. And yeah, look, they definitely went out there and proved their point by beating Japan how they did. Yeah, they kind of laughed at that sign, and it was kind of interesting to see. I think they got some good to have some fun with it. Obviously, not the case that they need her at the moment. They're obviously the Olympic favourites, but funny to see and interesting interaction. On to the last bit of news for today. Obviously, we want to wrap this show up around 30 minutes like I usually do with this weekly podcast. But my last bit of news, since we don't have much NBA All-Star action, we're mainly focused on the Olympics and other female sports as well at the Olympics. Something really exciting, something I saw maybe an hour or two ago, announced today, history really in the making. And one of my favorite college athletes, probably the number one pick in next year's WNBA draft, hopefully going to my Dallas Wings. I can't stress how incredible that would be. I would get all the merchandise, trust me. Paige Bueckers, still playing in the WNCA next year, is going to get her first PE that will be, and this is key, available for purchase. We saw Bronny wear PEs, LeBron PEs, in his college career, but they weren't made available to buy, and most PEs aren't. When we talk about this sort of things, a lot of PEs aren't commercially available. Some of them we really love to have, and I don't know why they don't capitalize on that. But she is going to get a player exclusive, PE sneaker, and that news broke on Soul Retriever if you want to go check it out. And they're going to be a pair of the GT Hustle 3s, which I haven't worn because I buy quite a lot of sneakers nowadays. I never used to, but I love my basketball sneakers now, especially from the players that I enjoy watching, especially Luka, Sabrina now, the other pair of Jordans, etc. But I haven't worn the Nike GT Hustle 3s. I've heard a lot of good things about them. I've heard that they are really good on-court shoe. I don't play a lot of basketball now. I wear them mainly out in public as a casual fit. I think a lot of basketball sneakers look quite nice with a lot of different outfits these days, so I like to wear them. Obviously, if they're comfortable on court, they're probably going to be comfortable in everyday life, as long as you're not too worried about kind of destroying your soles after a while if you wear them frequently. If you do want to eventually wear them on a basketball court, because obviously most sneakers now are made for indoor use. Here in Australia, a lot of outdoor courts. So, if you want to keep them nice and fresh, I recommend not wearing them outside for casual use, but it's up to you. But she's going to get this Nike GT Hustle 3 PE, and I'm really excited. I think it's going to be incredible. They're going to go on sale. I don't know where exactly, but in some online outlets and some in store. So I'm hoping they make their way over here to Australia, but we'll see. I'll definitely try and get a pair if they do come, or if I can purchase them from Australia. And the expectation is that they will be multicolor themed, include a few personal details. So they'll have area codes 860 and 612, which represent Stores and Con, where she plays at UConn, and a hometown of Edina in Minnesota, respectively. They'll also be expected to have a personal mantra and a nickname on the sock liner at the top, both of which are to be determined, apparently, but her nickname, Paige Buckets, has to be in consideration, I suppose, and according to this article on Soul Retriever. So we'll see what happens there. But look, I am really, really, really excited. I think it's going to be incredible. Apparently, the price is going to be at $190 US. Actually, this might be Australian dollars if it's on MSN. I'm not sure exactly. The release date set here is September 12th, 2024. So I'm not long after my birthday. So maybe I can make that a birthday gift to myself. And really, really excited about that. And it's history making. That hasn't happened for any other women's college athlete, as far as I'm aware and as far as I've read. So yeah, incredible. I expect she'll be picked up by somebody, by Nike, I'm assuming. She's not already with them. I haven't actually looked into that, so I'm sorry for that. But I'm 100% certain that as soon as she hits the WNBA, she will also get a signature sneaker, a signature shoe. And look, I really hope that more and more WNBA athletes get their signature shoes. We saw that AJ Wilson is getting her own signature line. And look, it does wonders for the game. I think it grows the game, as long as they're somewhat affordable. Obviously, a lot in the US, but other countries as well around the world that maybe don't get as much of a chance to buy some of those sneakers that are a little less common and a little trickier to buy. And if you make them really expensive, then young kids might not be able to afford them and rep their idols. But I think especially first line signature shoes like we saw with the Lucas are usually a little less expensive as an entry level to see how they sell. So look, I'm hoping that all the people, all the young kids, all the young women that want to rep their idol and their idols get that chance. And I think it's incredible that more and more NBA players and female athletes get those signature lines, whether it's shoes or in other sports, clothing, whatever it might be, something like this to rep your favorite players. I think it's really important. I think it's incredible, and I hope it keeps happening. And I'm going to continue to buy that merchandise to support those players, to support women's sport, and I hope you do too. So, look, I'm going to leave it there. I think I hope that you follow the podcast on my social media at WNBA Podcast. I keep sharing things that I see from different places, different users on X especially. And I love to kind of just share people's work, important news. I've been posting a lot about different Olympic updates that maybe center around Australia a little bit more, or Germany, but other sports that don't just include the basketball. And yeah, follow me there. I've posted quite a few things over the last week or so. I've also included some in there about my beloved Fremantle Dockers in the Australian Rules Football League. So if you're from America, go check it out. If you love physicality, if you love tackling, if you love that sort of stuff without protection, fast-paced game, it's a little harder to understand. But I think just from an aesthetic point of view, if you guys want to get into it, watch some YouTube highlight clips. It's incredible. We love it here. Australians, we're a tough, hard-nosed bunch, especially out in the outback. So we enjoy the sport, and I'm sure you guys would too if you give it a chance, if you give it a look. I'm just trying to check if I've missed anything. I think that's mostly it from my side and from what I wanted to discuss with you guys today. But look, again, thank you for watching that WNBA podcast. Follow me on our social medias. You can get the podcast on all your podcasting platforms. Hope you enjoyed today's episode and you feel even more connected to the incredible world of the WNBA and women's sports. Don't forget again to subscribe and leave me a review, a 5-star review on those podcasting platforms. Still working on Apple Podcasts. It's proving a little bit difficult. Still looking at a new mic and HD cam so you can hear me and see me a little more clearly. And yeah, follow me, like I said, on social media. Get involved, leave comments, like, subscribe. I'm always happy to interact and to answer questions or to discuss sports. That's what I love doing, and have a conversation with fellow fans. So until next time, keep supporting women's basketball and celebrating our incredible heroes on and off the court. And thank you. Until next time on that WNBA podcast. I just want